Ahoy toy! Welcome to Transfixed, the channel that follows at least 15 feet behind this vehicle. Today we're going to look at Tailgate, the Power of the Primes version. Maybe you're asking, who cares about Tailgate? Well, I care about Tailgate. Maybe people care about Tailgate since the IDW comic gave him some love, but we didn't really see much of him in the Generation 1 cartoon. I think he might have been only in that one Metroplex episode. But anyway, we're looking at him because I did a little bit of customization on him. And I'm sorry, it has been a while since I put a video up. I just haven't had a lot of projects on the go lately. But yeah, I kind of been swapping out some of my pieces in my collection. So I mentioned in my Legends video I might be downsizing my collection. So that's what I'm doing. I swapped out my Fans Toys Dinobots for the Mech Fans Toys versions. I know that's strange. And I'm swapping out some of the Masterpiece Minibots I have for just regular Legends scale Minibots or third-party stuff that's more G1 accurate. Because I do want to keep that G1 cartoon aesthetic, because that's what I like. So we do have a wind charger from Hasbro, but he's not quite G1. He's pretty close. But the problem is they made him a remold of wind charger, which should be fine. But the original wind charger and Tailgate did have a bit of remolding done. They had a different body on the front half here, at least. So you can see the whole molding here is different. So you can't just take wind charger and make him repaint it into Tailgate. You got to do a little bit of molding. Hasbro didn't do that. They just painted him. So the problem was mainly that they painted this silver parts down here on Tailgate. This is what he looked like before I painted him. So I figured if I could get around that chest, I'd be okay. And Tailgate was one of those bots that was a bit more true to the toy when you saw him in the cartoon. Didn't have as many liberties taken as Wind Charger did, which was typical of that sort of second run of mini-bots. So it didn't have as much work to do. And of course, to give you another example, this is what I'm replacing. I'm replacing the x-transbots, and he had two torsos, but I did like this Toon one. So I thought I could get this shape and paint him properly, I'd be alright. So that's what I did. And actually, I did a bit of an extra step because, well, I had a practice one. I shouldn't let this run on too long, but basically I bought a used version of him from Toy Traders, and I just wasn't happy with it. Something was bothering me that I didn't have a new one. I think it's because I knew he was still available at retail. I sort of passed him by a few times, not thinking I needed him because I had the x-transbots. And then I thought, you know, it should be easy to buy him, but it wasn't. I managed to find him on Amazon. The Amazon US site had him for only $8, which is great because that's less than his original retail. I even found him later on Hasbro Pulse. You can order him from there. But anyway, so I did order him, and I figured I'll use this as practice. So that's what I did, and it kind of worked out well because it's really hard to match up this color that they use on him. It's a weird, I don't know if it's teal or turquoise. It's a bit dark, though, for either of those colors. I had to go to Michael's, and I couldn't find my usual paint. I had to go with just their, like the craft paints. They got a lot of paints at Michael's, but really hard to find. This is the closest I could find, and it's very close. So this is a satin finish paint, and this one is called Deep Sea Green. So Deep Sea Green satin was the closest I could find, and it was almost perfect. This is almost roughly what it comes out to. It's a bit too light, so I mixed it with just a touch of black, a little bit of black. You can see I went a little bit too dark here, but I just took a bit of gloss black with the satin of this, mixed it up, and I try to avoid mixing paints just because if you have to do more than one coat, you've got to mix the same color again, and I find that difficult. But I managed to pull it off here. I went slightly too dark and then slightly light on the final, and this is what I ended up with. I think this is pretty good. I just painted over the silver parts here. I painted over the Autobot symbol because I'm going to put one up here, and I think that's a close enough match. I mean, it's good enough from a distance at least. So the practice was helpful for that, and yeah, just sort of do a test. I pulled off the doors here just to see what it looked like without the door kibble, and I don't think I'll display them like that, but you can do it if you want to. Those doors just pop out. They're just plug in. So yeah, it was pretty much just painting. The only other thing I did was I just cut some of this. There's a shape here. I'll show you on Wind Charger. He's got this molded piece here because Wind Charger has that. But I wanted to put the Autobot logo there for Tailgate. They didn't really account for a logo on this mold at all. That's why the Wind Charger one is in the chest here, and it's kind of goes over some detail. But for Tailgate, I wanted it up here. I didn't really want it on his crotch. I wanted it to be up on his chest where it should be. So I just took a knife and I cut this. I just sort of tried to shave away this this raised line here. And I did okay, except I kind of dug into the paint, and then when I painted over the silver, it's a little blotchy, but when I put the sticker on there, I'm hoping that will cover it. The other thing I had to do was paint his head, because, let me grab my test here. Hasbro didn't paint, they only painted his face plate. Just the face plate. They didn't paint the sides or any of the rest of the helmet. It was all white, and I think it should be silver, because the toy and cartoon have it as silver. So you can see I just tested it out here. So I used a chrome pen, and also the tester silver paint is it's just as good. So either of those will work. So the head and the chest, and yeah, I was just careful with the deep sea green to get up to this line. It's got these lines that are painted on here, so that's a good indicator just where to stop it. So that turned out good enough, I think. Now all it needs is an Autobot faction symbol, so let's get that on. Alright, so we gave him one of these Toy Hacks Repro Labels ones, just a small one, because he's a small guy. And I love it when the symbol needs to go on top of silver, because I like these silver outline stickers, they're quite nice. And also it matches up with what they've given him Tempcraft on the hood, has a silver border. So, let's get the light on there. I think that's great. I did, yeah, my whoops shows there a bit on the chest, but it's not too bad. I think he's perfectly presentable as a tailgate. He's got a silver head. You know, with that paint, I was able to, you know, any kind of paint mistakes, I was able to go over the edges with that deep sea green and perfect it. And now there he is. I think that is, I'm happy with this as my tailgate. It may not be the x-transbots, but it's the size I want. And I think that's good enough. So this is my work in progress mini-bot shelf, and now tailgate is ready to take its place right there. So that's all for tailgate. That's all for this week. I've got a couple of new videos in the works, so come back and check those out. As always, thank you very much for watching.